I think one problem is with gurus is that it's so easy to see that to trick people by charging that it will make them value it, because when people pay things, they value things. And so then they'll value the message because they pay for it. Problem is, that kind of power brings out human nature. And if you're not absolutely impeccable, you will fall at some point. You will stumble before you reach the maximum, because there's only so far you can go when your goal is money or power or lust or any one of the vices, gluttony, whatever it is. I don't know, is slothfulness one? Those things are not in the Bible. I always grew up believing that the seven deadly sins were in the Bible. And imagine my surprise when it's not. Where does that even come from? Is it an apocryphal text, or is it just a, what is it, where you just kind of come up with some concepts, you kind of read, maybe you'd read like the whole Bible and then just come up with some themes, just like, oh, these are the themes of the Bible, don't be slothful. It's like, the Bible is a book about doing things, like what you're supposed to be doing in your life. To me, that's what the Bible is a book about, here's the way you should live your life to have the best possible chance of the best possible life, and or the best possible chance to have peace after death, to have individual consciousness retained in a peaceful state, and or with your family, and or understanding mortal family ties, and or on different levels of happiness. Like there's like a supreme happiness level, happiness supreme, and then there's like mediocre happiness mediocre, which is really happiness supreme in terms of earth terms. But the happiness supreme would then be like happiness supreme plus, for plus memberships. The plus members, they go to happiness supreme plus, and then there's happiness supreme. That's also really good. It's not that big of a deal, and you can do quite a bit of sinning, and you don't have to go to the temple or do your visiting teaching, and maybe that's just good enough, because it's still happiness supreme. Like, why are you going to pay the extra? Like, is it really worth the extra, cost to get the plus membership? It's like, well, I mean, we can have pleasure now and pleasure later. Let's do that one. That seems like the good plan. And then that's like the middle of the road plan, like the moderate plan, the average achieving plan, that's going to be okay. And then we're going to have, happiness level, So you have happiness supreme, and happiness supreme plus. So on the happiness level, it's still happy. You're still good. It's still really good. Like, you're happy. You don't know any different. This is just good for you. It's like on earth, when you're happy on earth, when you're joyful, that's what you get there. Happiness, joy, just like what you feel on earth all the time, though. It's like, it's great. That's what you get on happiness level. There is a possibility, one slim chance of a possibility, though, if you were to deny the Holy Ghost on this earth, in this earth life, if you were to commit the one thing, if you were to do the one thing and deny the Holy Ghost, and there's not a lot of people who could give you a clear answer on what that means, but if you were to do that, if you were to deny the Holy Ghost, you're going to outer darkness. You're going to non-existence. You're going to a place where even darkness doesn't exist, because it's called non-existence, snuffing out, no more. never to return. Outer darkness, and that's just the description because it's not actually something that could be described because it doesn't exist. You're just flip gone, and you don't even know and you don't even care because you don't exist anymore. And that's okay because you don't care because you don't exist anymore. So there you go. So that's the Mormon theology. That's the Mormon belief. Outer darkness, the telestial kingdom, because telestial sounds like celestial. So you have the molest, gross. So telestial, celestial, those are the end caps. Those are like the bookends. And then right in the middle, terrestrial, middle of the road guy. Safe option, the option most people choose. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going with. They like that. I think that's the option where families are together. Like, you know, your mom and dad and everyone else. You might even have memories of the earth life and are fine. And that's great. And you have like all your learning in this, like everybody does know about everybody else. You know about everybody's past. Everybody knows about yours. Everything is wide open, transparent. The whole thing 100% transparent. Good. There we go. That's terrestrial. That's happiness supreme. So, still really good. Most people would want that. There is happiness supreme plus. Okay, let's go. Okay, so that's the middle of the road. Let's go to the other bookends. We can start with, let's do the bad news first, then the good news, like the bad to the good. I think that's the way salesmen do it. Is that right? See, it's like, I could sell this in a more selly way for the good of the humanity. The problem is, when you sell things in a selly way, you're going to get caught up in getting money, and then it's going to be harder to make choices, potentially, depending on the type of person you are. So, okay. Telestial, the bookend, celestial, middle of the road, telestial. Let's do that. It makes sense to go that way. I think natural human tendency just likes it that way. I think that's why it works to sell. When you're a salesman, they start with the low and they go to the high. That's just tricking. That's exploiting people's natural tendency and natural nature, just desire to learn and grow. You're exploiting people's natural desire to learn and grow for gain. And in doing so, it kills their trust in people and damages their natural desire to learn and grow. So for gain, you've damaged your brother or sister just slightly. And that happens over and over again because it's a really effective method that works. It doesn't work that much anymore because people are just so damaged and broken. They're just like, nope, don't trust anybody. And look how that's worked for our society. Look what's happened. Look how great that is. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? That kind of stuff is random, by the way. I don't put those little beeps in. Those beeps always they just happen. Any kind of beep. This is not edited. I edit names out sometimes. Sometimes I edit voices. Like, I edit my kids out. But not all the time, and if it's minor. But all the other little beeps and sounds are just happening in the world. Like when that happens, I call that reaffirmations from the world around you. So it's either whoever's hacked into my phone and listening and giving like an amen, brother, or it's reaffirmations from the world around you. It's an amen, brother, from God himself, which means it's something you should listen to. And I don't know, something I listen to. When that stuff happens, I'm like, dun 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 dun. But if that's like orchestrated or artificial, yuck. That makes people trick too. So then they stop believing in God because you did that. Yay! I love all the tricks. I love a tricky society. Like, tricky things are the best because it just damages everyone. And then people are so damaged and broken, bad stuff happens to everyone, including the people who are doing the tricking. So I love that plan. That's the best plan of all. I don't know why we would ever do anything else. What else would we do? The tricking plan is working. All is well in Zion and heart cell. Tricky. I don't remember where I was. I can't stop thinking about all is well in Zion. That is true. We say that a lot. Good thing we belong to The good place where it's good. I know what we're doing. Okay. Celestial, terrestrial, so celestial. Okay, so terrestrial, still with your family, it's all good. Celestial, I mean, you're gonna be happy all the time. I don't know what you're doing there. I don't know what that equates to in like other Christianity. They don't know it. Maybe we don't know what they do there. I've heard there could be like stealing and stuff happening, but if there's happiness, maybe people are just happy to do it. Maybe it's like fulfilling some need and then they like it. Maybe it's like when you get stuck in the negativity cycles and just spiral into an argument, like on some level you're enjoying that if you're engaging in it. But maybe that's the kind of enjoyment people in the celestial kingdom get. Carnal pleasures. But with the carnal pleasures come natural consequences, and so it's not going to be as good, maybe. Maybe that's just like the natural thing. Carnal pleasures mean carnal consequences. If you play, I'm not going to say it. That is something it's a repeatable thing. Okay, so happiness, but you're happy. Happiness, terrestrial, supreme. Happiness, supreme plus celestial. Happiness, celestial, supreme plus. Here you go. This is where you are with your family. This is where you're with your family. This is where you have soul bonds. You have eternal soul bonds. You are eternally bound to your soul partner that you made a soul binding contract with that cannot be revoked unless it's by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the corporation of the presiding bishopric, while they are here on earth presiding. And they are the only ones that have the keys to do so. They're the only ones. Only ones on the whole earth. They have the authority to do to the people in the celestial kingdom. What they do, they also have the authority to bring people out of the telestial and terrestrial kingdoms to raise them up higher into the celestial kingdoms here on earth. You could do the work today, brothers and sisters, for the people in those lower kingdoms. You could give them the chance to come up. They cannot come up without those saving ordinances and that consideration. They need to feel your love. They need to know they're loved and accepted and wanted up there, because if they're not feeling wanted and invited, maybe they won't think they can even come. That might be the thing. It's kind of like an invitation. It's like invitation by invitation only. And this is how we signal and show in the conscious realm, we're doing something there and we're showing that that's welcome. That person's welcome in the celestial kingdom. Who are we to know though? How do we have the authority to do that? Well, we have the priesthood keys. The keys. The leader of our church holds all the keys and is the only person authorized and in authority to use them today on the earth. That's what we believe. That's what we believe he is. Not just the prophet, seer, revelator, but key holder. You know, mom and dad have left the house. Our older brother has also left with them. They're on a trip. They've gone to the water park or whatever. They left us home alone. We are deranged teenagers. We're children. We're going to make mistakes. They're like, look. But Jesus is like, hey, you know, whatever happens, like, I'll smooth it over with mom and dad. I've got a plan. We're like, okay, Jesus, we trust you. You're our older brother. Of course we trust you. You're cool. You're a cool older brother. You're cool. We're cool, right? You love us. Of course. Okay. So we're home. We're mucking up the house. We're having parties. It's a disaster. I mean, Dad has already come in a couple times. One time he killed some of us. No, he got rid of us. I don't know what that means. It's like, if you go back to this, if you die and you go to heaven, if you're in the spirit realm, he's just like cleaning up like the body, just making like the machine or the system work better and stuff, right? Just be like, no, get rid of you. Like, you're just going to go over here. It's almost like he's just changing rooms with you. It's like a big mansion. And you come into the one room, the earth room, and he's just like, oh, you're mucking it up in here. You go back to get away. Go into the telestial room. You can't mess things up too bad. You know, he's like a neurotic. He's like what's that Lego, the Lego movie, the dad in the Lego movie, you know? He's like God, you know? He's like, okay, you can't be mucking up this place. And so he put a lot of people back. Like there was a lot of people in the living room, on the earth room, and they were really mucking it up, you know? And he was like, you can't be doing this. I mean, they were attacking, like, I mean, people were visiting a city, and other people, and the neighbors that came in wanted to like sexually rape them, and it was like, why are you doing this stuff? This is not good. Stop this. If you don't stop this, I'm gonna put you out. Stop it now. And they're like, we love raping though. We love to rape. We love to rape men, especially for some reason. We don't know why. It just gives us so much power and control. And so God's like, stop that now. That's a wicked act. Stop that. It's maybe a little different than what homosexual love is now. Like homosexual love is likely a byproduct of too many people. It's like a natural biological function that our species had in its biology to do, and it might have nothing to do with what happened back then in Sodom and Gomorrah, but who knows. Maybe it is just the act of doing that act itself, because there is some disease vector that comes to that. But anyway, it could be a hygiene issue. Again, just like monogamy, like homosexuality might be a hygiene issue. Okay, back to the story. Men wanted to rape people just for the power. Like, think about, rape isn't about sex, it's about power, right? So they wanted to just get this lust for power, and God's like, ugh, stop this. Okay, you're out. Strike 3, you're out. All right, and he's got like a friend. He's got someone who talks to him on the earth. He's like, I'm telling you, there's nobody else, Abraham. He's like, no, Lot. There's nobody else, Lot. No, Abraham's like, what about my cousin Lot? And he's like, Abraham, nobody talks to me. There's literally nobody in that city who's like any good. He's like, whatever. There is. I bet half the people are decent. He's like, find him then and show me. Okay, I will. So he goes in the city and he walks around. It's like, all right, maybe not half, but like at least a quarter. Oh, show me. It's like, okay, well, maybe not a quarter, but an eighth. Okay, no. God, there's at least one family I know of that is a good family, though. It's like, all right, go get that family, get him out. So he does. He goes to his cousin Lot, and he's like, look, Lot, look, cousin, I know y'all are not perfect. God's doing me a favor here. You guys are close enough. You guys are pretty good. Come on out. You're my family. Like, I don't want to see you suffer. I mean, that's not in the Bible. No, I'm missing scripture. The Bible just says he went in, Lot was righteous, had got him out, him and his family, and they left. Yeah, it's his family, right? So they're walking up the hill, and Sarah, the wife, turns around and turns into a pillar of salt. I think her name's Sarah. Could have this wrong. Turns into a pillar of salt, and then they go on to do some crazy shenanigans. If you've ever read that story, it's like, what? That's weird. You know, they don't really teach the Bible in church a lot of the time. They teach the gist of what they think the gist is. But if you leave parts out, then you miss things. But that is a really weird thing. Like, I don't know, I'm not advocating for teaching that specific lesson, but that's just, what does that mean? Why is that in there? It's just in the culture? So anyway, that happened. And so, I mean, if that's happening and that like goes on, maybe that is in the culture now, because maybe the reason not to do that is because it might have a genetic component, and maybe the babies are going to have something like that. Maybe. I don't know. I think all of the behavior could have somewhat of a genetic component, like the natural man, the carnal self, anything that's the body wanting to do, the carnal. What do it take self-control? If you would have to exercise some self-control to not do it, if you know that it's the wrong thing logically, but you're still finding yourself doing it, that's because that's the natural man. That's the body taking over. You're letting the body rule. That's telestial kingdom material, letting the body rule, right? I think that's what it means. Terrestrial is letting spirit rule the body, or maybe that's terrestrial letting the body rule. I don't know. There's a few definitions. There's a few precursors. Celestial, though, You completely rule your body. Your spirit keeps your body under control, and your tongue especially. You know, don't lash out or I don't know, say things that shouldn't be said. Well, don't bear false witness for sure. You know, it's the tongue that gets you in trouble. It's not what goes into the body, it's what comes out of the mouth. Tongue is but a little member, but I don't know, it's the most powerful, move mountains. Who knows? Who knows what it says? The tongue is powerful. The talking is powerful. The word. The pen is mighty, their sword, blah, blah. But ideas, being able to describe ideas. Celestial kingdoms for like higher people who go to the temple regularly, people who do their church callings, people who, they live the gospel, but they live it gospel plus. They're living it orthodox style. They're not just going through the motions. They're not just showing up on Sunday. They're also showing up on Wednesday for activities. They're also doing all the service projects that they possibly can. They're doing the best they can. Family home meeting on Monday. They're doing just a lot of families are doing it. And like, that's celestial kingdom material. I feel like there's got to be something more. Joseph Smith talked about the school of the prophets. We don't do that anymore. And it's like, oh yeah, we just don't do that anymore. I feel like the celestial thing is about the school of the prophets. We don't do that anymore. To me, that's a red flag. But it's a shame too. I always wondered what that would be like. Were women even invited? Who knows? That was cool though. School of the Prophets idea, that was neat. The fact that we haven't recreated it makes me think that Joseph Smith was a prophet, but maybe we didn't know how to succeed prophets, how to do the next one. How do you pick the next one? Maybe you can't pick. If it's a church cut out thou hands, you can't pick, can you? Anyway, somewhere in the Bible, in the day of Pentecost, the young men shall dream dreams, the young women shall prophesy. So if women are prophesying, what does that mean? Like, women not having the priesthood, like, I don't know. On some level, if the church gets women the priesthood, that's annoying and flip-flopping. On another level, if the church doesn't get the women the priesthood, then that's annoying and like unequal. And on another level, the fact that it's weighing its options is a red flag indicative that it's not coming from God, that it's not coming from revelation. It's just coming from a bunch of old men doing a business meeting and having an agenda. Ugh, please stop doing that. It's just so... I don't know. Boring, depressing, lame, retarded. Just, I don't know. I mean, you're getting a lot done. You're really good at it. You've done a lot with the good. I mean, you made a lot of money. The problem is, you can't serve God and mammon. And Jesus did say that, you can only you focusing on money, then you're not focusing on God. There's no way to focus on money. And I know you started off doing right. You started off with the right direction, and it went in the right direction for a long time, and it did some really good stuff. Like, it's mostly right. It's just barely, it's like missing a little bit. Like, something's just not quite right. And I think it's because the church is focusing on money, but I get it's focusing on money to focus on God, focusing on money to help people and to like do the right thing. Like, your heart's in the right place mostly, but I think now even probably some people in the upper places who are getting paid, I think some people who are getting paid a lot of money, a lot more money than the average salary in the United States, I would say, a lot more money than the average salary in Utah, I would say. They're getting paid a lot more. I bet they're getting paid in like the 1% maybe. Anyway, within the paid clergy, I would say there are members who are doing it for the money. And I think that is when it falls apart. And so that's the problem with using money as a way to follow Christ. It's just the focus is off a little bit, so you're going to miss. There's just going to be some fundamental things that are slightly askew, and so it'll just be blurry. It's like looking through a lens, and like, you know, if you're used to wearing glasses, like it's the glasses, like Jesus is the glasses. Like we need, it's like we have poor vision because we played video games as a kid. We have poor vision, and so we have to wear glasses, and we have poor vision, spiritual vision. Jesus is the glasses. You know, it's like it brings it into focus. But if the prescription isn't right, if it's like you're focusing on money, it's like, oh, that's like this, then the glasses are tweaked wrong. Like, I don't know how glasses are made. I've mentioned the lenses are shaped a different shape. The lenses will be tweaked a little bit differently. Wrong prescription, a little tweak. And it'll be blurry. You won't be able to read some of the words. If it's a hearing aid or whatever, like it could be any kind of sensory thing, because it's like if you have ears to hear, let him hear. If you have eyes to see, let him see. If your devices are a little bit tweaked, you're not going to be able to see or hear correctly. So that's the problem with focusing on money, is it makes your little devices like Jesus and stuff tweaked. Like what you're focusing, you're not understanding the gospel. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry. Wish I could pat you on the head, give you a hug like your mother. You know, your heavenly mother is there. You know, think about this. You're in your home. You're in your mansion. You're in your living room, your earth living room. You've made a huge mess. You know, you spill the milk all over the kitchen. It's all over the freaking garbage can. Oh my gosh. Kids, Mom, there's an emergency, help! Mom goes running in, and what does she do? It's okay, we'll clean it up. Or how does she react? It's like, what would the ideal mother react like, though? So how did your mother react, first of all? Think about how your mother reacted, and then think about what an ideal mother reaction would be, and also think about what your reaction would be. I'm talking about mothers. If you were a mother, like, what would you want to happen? And as a mother, if you are a mother, what would you feel like it would be the most appropriate for your kids? Okay, so picture your ideal, and then say, based on your knowledge of what the ideal would be, based on what you would like to have happen with you and your kids, that is the first step to understanding Heavenly Mother. Same thing with Heavenly Father. Picture your perfect ideal father, you know? And then you can understand, like, okay, so you're in the living room, Earth's living room, and here comes Heavenly Mother, and she says to you, you know, and as a perfect mother, she knows when to be stern, when to swat, when to scold, when to time out, when to do all the things, right? She knows intimately your every detail. She knows you. She knows when to love, when to hug, when to hold close, when to push away, and when to hold close and when to let go. The Heavenly Mother is basically a perfect rendition of Ecclesiastes, you know. Also, just she's just a great person. You're your best mother, right? So you've done something careless or intentionally wicked. Maybe you lied, or you did something carnal. You followed your body instead, and she comes in and reprimands you in whatever way is perfect for you to be reprimanded, or scoops you up in a hug and just says, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. We are all sent to this earth to make mistakes. That's what it's all about. That's the whole thing. How else are you going to learn? You got to make the mistakes. That's how you learn. So go get a rag, clean up this spill, and try again. Try to be a little more careful next time. Yeah. It's all about trying. Once you get the trying, it'll happen. If you're trying, eventually you'll get good at it. And you just have to build up your muscles a little bit, that's all. So this is Heavenly Mother, I believe, talking in some sort of that way, right? You're sitting on her lap, she's hugging you, you're like 6. It's like, it's nice. So that's your Heavenly Mother, okay? Because we know Heavenly Mother exists. We have that in that song. We believe it. We're like, well, we can't talk about it because God doesn't want us to talk about it. Really? When did God say that? Give me a thus saith the Lord on that one. Maybe he did. Maybe he's changing his mind. Heavenly Mother has told him, I'm not doing any more of this nonsense. Look, your narcissism's wearing off on the kids, and stop that. I don't know. That was blasphemous. I don't know. I'm just saying. No, that was wrong. I don't know if God's a narcissist. What if he is? That would be crazy. That's why we have all those patterns. Our literally heavenly parents having all these traumas and turmoils. And they see it playing out in the kids. They know what to fix themselves. Sometimes that's a pattern you can see in your kids too. With the pattern, if you see problems playing out in your kids, and you know that's you doing it, you're doing the behaviors too, and you're the one that's starting it. I mean, their kids are soaking it in and figuring it out from their environment. Whatever they figured out from what you did, like whether you tried to or not, that's what you did. So notice their behaviors, and then you can learn too. Is that if God is an eternally progressing being, is that what he's doing too? I don't know. I kind of more think God is like a heavenly parent. God is male and female, both, and like a heavenly parent, like dividing up into all of us. That's a blasphemous comment too. We're literally a piece of God, and we can all choose to stay separate, an individual resurrected as individual beings with bodies, eternal bodies. Consciousness just holds the body together, right? In a purely fully healthy physical adult state, like 30s. The 30s are great. And everyone's in peak physical condition, whatever physical condition they want to be. That's also the celestial. I think that's all. That's all the kingdoms. All of the kingdoms, telestial, terrestrial, celestial, they all have actual planet. They're actual planets. They're actual worlds. We believe in alien. This is the alien thing that we believe. We believe those are actual worlds, like actual planets. Like we're folding up in some kind of weird dimension. And like you're meeting on an actual place. It's possible to travel from place to place. Maybe just in your mind, I don't know. Anyway, it's a whole planet. I believe the celestial kingdom planet is like a crystal clear glass. It's like a literal, it's the whole thing is like a giant seer stone, like a giant crystal. And I'm thinking that's cool and all, but I kind of would rather just be in like a forest with trees. Like, I don't want to be on some crystal and just be doing like seer stuff all like, just like trying to figure. I mean, I like to figure out the nature of the universe and crap, but like sometimes I just want to rest in the shade of a tree. Like to me, like just resting in the shade of a tree for a long time. Maybe doing that crystal stuff sometimes, but freaking staying under the trees. Oh, that's a lot. It would be really nice, really peaceful. Anyway, that seer stone. So I think the celestial kingdom is literally a giant seer stone, and the terrestrial, I don't know, is like Earth. I think the celestial kingdom is literally Earth. It turns into a seer stone. The other kingdoms just are from somewhere else. Maybe Mars and Venus. Who knows? But they're... maybe it's when the sun goes out, the Earth will turn into a crystal of ice, right? And the consciousnesses will be here. But then the bodies, well, like the consciousness of the celestial kingdom will be tethered. People who are super righteous and got to nirvana or whatever. It's ice now. A dead planet, maybe. Who knows? It's just an ice planet. And then as it gets closer, Mars and Venus, Mars is now inhabited by people. We figure out how to do an atmosphere there, and that's like, oh yeah, now it's warm. We can be here now. We've saved ourselves. And then they do their thing, and then it's getting colder, and people move to Venus and do it there too until they die. And then when the sun finally dies and it's gone, then we're on Earth. Then we're in heaven. And then it's really time to see what's going on. And so then everyone in the celestial kingdom, will have happiness. Everyone in the terrestrial kingdom will have really good happiness. And everyone in the celestial kingdom will have really, really good happiness. And within the celestial kingdom, too, there are also 3 more kingdoms. So if you are still sealed together as an eternal family, I believe, like if, I don't know how many people have to make it, just your husband, I think, or your wife, just your spouse. If you and your spouse make it, if you endured to the end, you did it all. If you did all the stuff right, if you make it, if you repent, if you believe in Jesus, and I think if you get down to it, people are going to say literally all you have to do is believe in Jesus, but I think that they say there's a lot of stuff you have to do, like genealogy and temple work and stuff. I mean, what you'd want to do anyway. Everyone wants to do temple work anyway. I don't know why it has to even be a threat. Like, if you don't do it, there's going to be a problem. Like, don't you care about your ancestors? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe people need to hear that. I don't know. I'm not judging. I don't care. Anyway, I think there's some stuff you have to do this to get to the celestial kingdom. You definitely have to be I think it used to be you had to the top kingdom. So there's the celestial. Oh, I know what it is. There's the celestial, the top kingdom. That's where you go. You're an eternal family, right? That's where you're eternally sealed. Then there's the top 3 kingdoms. And I believe that's where you go when you're a polygamist. I don't know. That's not what the church teaches. I can't remember what the top 3 kingdoms are, though. The top of the top. What you have to do to go there. Temple stuff is big on that, though. To get to the top of the top of the top, the temple stuff's big. Anyway, and that's where Jesus is. The only people who get to live with Jesus in the celestial kingdom and the top 3 kingdoms. I don't know if they even have names, but the top 3 kingdoms and then Jesus. Jesus gets to live in the celestial kingdom and the top 3 kingdoms. He does not live in the other ones. So like, you have a happy life, you don't get to live with Jesus. They're actual planets, actual physical places to go. And is that where the bodies will be resurrected? I don't know. Is that what we want to be doing next? I don't know. Just want to have peace and sunshine, trees. And coolness. I don't want to be ridiculously hot. I want it to be nice. I want it to be like 70, high 70s, low 80s. Nice, a little humid, not too humid. Maybe a little crispness in the air. Just nice. Just really nice day. That's what I want it to be like all the time. And warm nights too. Same temperature nights all the time. That'd be really great. And then once you have that, what would you do? I think you'd do something like Adventure Time, wouldn't you? That's a great idea. But can you do it? It's possible to do it before you get bored and just... I don't know. Start the wicked stuff. Who knows? No. I think it's just a temptation for lust and power. I think getting self-control. Once people have self-control, they never really want to devolve back into lust and power, I don't think. Maybe. I've heard of people for years having self-control, and then in their 60s or whatever, they snap and like do something crazy. You know, that's not enduring to the end, is it? And it's like, well, it's just my natural man. It's like, yeah, it is, but I mean, there's a natural man kingdom. It's still good though. Like, we should still be friends. I don't know why we're not friends. Like, you're like tainted now. You're gonna like infect me with your like being just fine with the lower kingdomness. Jesus said, there's no fear of that. You can go like hang out with everybody. He had sat down with the tax collectors and the prostitutes and stuff, and everyone's like, ew, can't be sitting down with them. They're gross people of the society. They're what's ruining our society. He's like, it's okay to be friends with them though. Like, love your enemies. Jeez, you're all brothers and sisters. Just get along. Can you just get along? It's not that hard. Like, he's your older brother, right? He's looking down on you, like this little group of children. He's like, look, it's not that hard. Just get along. Look at all this magic stuff I can do. See? Ooh la la. Now, I know what I'm talking about, and what I'm telling you is, get along. I've got your attention. Get along. Just get along. Please just get along. Stop this. Stop messing around. Stop fighting. Why are you fighting all the time? That's weird. Oh, they're your enemy, are they? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something radical. Love your enemies. Just try it and see. Just try it and see. You'll likely find out that they're not really your enemies. Oh, you don't believe that? Okay, well, just try it and see. last time God took people out. He's like, look, you all are mucking it up. I mean, a lot of people think they're messing with the genetics, and that's why God did that. You guys were making, and they were very, very carnal. You guys are just partying all the time. You're not doing anything productive. You're mucking it up. I'm going to just get rid of a bunch of you. There's only one family who I like. All right, here's the thing. Just build a boat. Just going to wipe them all out, one quick swoop, and then set you back down. You can just start over with you. I like you. You won't mess it up, will you? You are going to be the good one, and you're going to teach your kids to be good. I've already done a great job. This is looking good. I can see your sons are hardworking. They have really great wives. I think this is for the best. This is just going to be the best. So build a boat. Warn people. I mean, we should give them a warning. If someone's willing to change and repent, I mean, they can get on the boat. I just don't think they will. But yes, definitely warn people, because like that's the decent thing to do. Warns everyone. Anyway, nobody changes. They get on the boat finally, and the rains come, and nope, everybody's pushed to the other room. Okay, get over there. You go big in the celestial, and terrestrial kingdom until I can get to you. No, actually, they're pushed into a different place. They are not any of those kingdoms. They are pushed into the basement. It's called spirit prison. Wicked people are pushed into spirit prison. They go to the basement. The righteous people, like people who are really not mucking it up, they were just kind of like collateral damage. They were just kind of like good people. They just kind of like didn't get to hear no or whatever reason, or I don't know, or maybe just with anybody who dies who's like a good person, they go to spirit paradise. That's just like a waiting room. It's kind of the waiting room of a really nice doctor's office. Just kind of like lovely and nice. You do some chatting. You get to see your grandkids, you know, and new people are coming all the time. Everybody's coming in. It's exciting to see old friends. And it's just like really great. This really great waiting room. And like, also, I don't know if you're interacting with the people that are in spirit, the pre-existence. So there's the pre-existence room too. I don't know if the paradise waiting room is also interacting. Like they might have like a way, like a little cubby hole or a little tunnel to get through to the new babies being born. But they're not babies. They're fully grown individual organized intelligences, just like the people in the waiting room. They're the same. They just haven't gone through the veil yet. They haven't gone through the living room to get put into paradise. They haven't gone through the living room yet. So they're in the pre-existence room, the baby room, the nursery. Pre-existence in the nursery. This is where mom and dad hang out the most. The mom and the dad hang out in there all the time. They take the babies. Well, they're not really babies though. The adults who haven't gone to the living room, I guess, have gotten some experience. The inexperienced ones, they spend a lot of time in there talking and stuff. Love it. It's a place of pretty much all love all the time. What do you mean hardship? Sure, it'll be fine. I mean, it's going to be pretty bad. You don't realize how bad it's going to be. How bad could it be when you know God is real? Well, you don't always know. I will always know. It's so easy. Everything knows God is real. I don't know why those people are having such a hard time. Like, isn't it obvious? It looks obvious to me. It looks obvious. It's different when you're in there doing it. Well, okay, we'll give it a try. Give it a try. Yeah, I'm excited for a challenge. I'm up for anything. I'm up for a challenge. Sure, yeah. That looks like a rough family. I'll try that. I will try this challenge. This is going to be insanely hard. You know, lots of stuff. But we believe, well, in church, I guess I believe it too. I kind of believe, I believe this in a fashion. I think this makes sense. Like, as I'm saying it, it makes sense. So, like, in the nursery, you're there seeing all the bad stuff. And I don't think you're really actually knowing what it's like, because you don't really know until you go. And I think you'd be optimistic. I think that every time I'm going to enter into something terrible, I'm always optimistic. Like childbirth, I was like, sure, I'm going to have a birth at home. Sure, that's going to be fine. I'm sure it's going to be better this time. I've already done it before. This time it's going to be better. I'm sure it will be, and it sure wasn't. But I'm optimistically like ignorant of it, just like hopeful, you know. And I think that's probably how it was. Like, that's going to be a challenge. I'm up for a challenge. It's a short time. It's like literally a blip in infinity. You've already been in the nursery for infinity. You're going through this blip of an existence and boop, out to the other side. Like to you of an infinite being, it just looks like a second. It's like, how hard could it be? It's 1 second. It's like less than a second. It's like an instant. In the scope of infinity, how long is the Earth life? Well, I think it's as long as it is. Like, I think in the scope of infinity, we just keep going and going and going, but it's still as long as it is. We're experiencing it. I think we experience things on roughly the same pace. I mean, consciousness just experiencing here in what I'm in. Whatever it is I'm in, I'm experiencing. And maybe stuff changes faster, slower sometimes. Like, I don't know. Would bacteria eat things faster in some place? I don't know. Things change would happen faster, so I don't know. Just would depend on the planet that you would be existing on, how change and things you'd perceive would, things that would, the goings on would happen. Okay. So you're going on for infinity, and it just goes on and on and on. Here we are in this room. So anyway, it's just really a split second in infinity. Joseph Smith got that idea in jail one time. He's like, this is such a small time in your existence. Like, don't worry about it. So that's one thing. People say, oh, Joseph Smith got all kinds of mansions and stuff. Joseph Smith got to really mooch off his followers and stuff. Yeah, but Joseph Smith went to jail a lot, and Joseph Smith lost a lot of kids, and Joseph Smith lost kids to even like mob attacks, and Joseph Smith seemed to actually care about the people, and Joseph Smith did die in that jail, kind of knowing that probably might happen. So, I don't know. I think he knew that there was a chance he would die in that jail cell. So, anyway, maybe not. Maybe didn't. Maybe thought it would be okay, but who knows? So, yeah, you come back down, you come down, or you come into the living room and you're like, oh my gosh, this is hard. What the crap is this? It's freezing here. I'm freezing. It's so stressful. Or like the baby's in the mom's tummy is just like experiencing emotions the mom's feeling. Is it fully aware still? Is the baby a fully aware adult individual understanding while it's in the womb? And as soon as it enters into existence, into birth, maybe that's when it becomes, the veil goes over its eyes, it becomes veiled. Because some people say, like, baby, the veil is thin around babies. Like, when does a baby lose the veil? And some people have said it's around 3, or it's when they start getting teeth. For those things too. Around the time when they lose their memories, maybe the veil is thin before then. That's why babies and things can see dead people sometimes. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of stories about that, you know. I would like to know if this story is true. The story I heard as a kid was a little boy. The story always touched me. And so I want to know if it's true, because if it's a faith promoting lie, I would say that's pretty wicked, because it was pretty impactful for us. And if we're just being lied to, we want to know that we're being lied to. It'd still be a great story, but like, don't, if you're building your faith off stuff like that, then it's a shaky faith and it won't work. So, I mean, don't do the faith burning lies, just do things that are real. Anyway, the story, but it might not be. So the story is a little boy said to his baby sister, you know, that he made everybody go out of the room, and then he said, you know, I'm remind me of what heaven's like, or something, remind me of what it's like, because I'm starting to forget, something like that. He was like 3. I don't know. A lot of people think when you lose your memories is when you no longer, like, that's when you lost the veil. With the moment you start remembering things here on this earth. Because you can't have a memory of before, will ruin it, right? So anyway, who knows when the veil could come at conception, the veil could come at birth, the veil could come any old time. But anyway, I believe consciousness enters in at conception, and so does Don Juan. At birth, like, why would that be a thing? Like, this arbitrary day that just, the act of going through the birth canal makes it a baby now? Or the act of, like, being dug out of the belly of a woman, like a C-section, that makes it a baby now? That just seems like a random thing to choose. I mean, conception, that's when the DNA is different from the mom. That's when it has a full set of, it's organized now. That's when it's a fully automated being, organized and organizing itself, organizing its own body with the materials you're providing for it, yes, but it's doing it on its own. And if it doesn't do it correctly, it dies. It's a ruthless process. So it does it on its own, does it correctly, and it does it well. And then it's a fully being it. But what the minute of conception is when consciousness enters, of course. It's probably not conscious the way I'm conscious, but in a way, yeah. And there's no like, I would say there's a very little difference between that consciousness and consciousness of a newborn. I mean, there is developmental differences, but like, where do you draw the line? At what point do you say that consciousness is like, okay to snuff out, blip. God, now, you can even get a chance. Maybe it's better that way. You know, we come here to get a body, and that's it. And if all you had to suffer was that one little blip, it really would be a blip. And then you'd be on to the next room. You're like, well, that was easy. We got a free pass. I don't want to do that, though. I like to go through the whole thing. I mean, I don't like to, but it's interesting. I want to see what happens. I want to be with my family. I like it. I like it and I don't like it. It's bittersweet. It's so sad. I like the experience of it. I like having the experience, because I think that having the life experience does go with you somehow. I think it is a little bit unfair. Yes, they get to blip over easy, but you miss out on some valuable life experience. I think that's one reason we think cutting off life too short is a travesty rather than like a celebration. It's because you gain something from being here. It is just a blip in infinity, but it is an important blip, because you gain so much knowledge and you get to take that with you. Anything, store up treasure where moth and rust don't corrupt. Store up knowledge, store up that kind of treasure rather than just actual things. Moth and rust are going to corrupt those things, and you're going to die, and you're going to take any of the things with you. So sad that you're not going to be able to, and as you get to be an adult, you don't think that's as sad anymore. It's okay. The most important thing was your relationships, the people, and the most important thing was your knowledge that you gained, what you did with it, and your experiences, and like what you did with the talents God gave you. Did you bury it in the sand, or did you multiply? Like, what did you do with your time? Were you fighting spiritual battles, or were you watching TV? Who knows? You got some experiences, but there's a reckoning of like what you did, what you got to do with your time. I like spending my time. I like being here. I like having the time and doing the stuff. It's a challenge. It's fun. It's cool. It's like, it's not always that great. It's not always cool, but it's cool to go through hard things and be able to do it. Like having a baby, it's hard to do. It's cool to have had done, not cool when you're doing it. but cool to have done it, and really cool for the baby. Like, so cool for those first moments and those first hours. Like, it's such a great thing. If you can do it. I mean, it's a small portion of someone's life. But it is the first portion of their life. It's the very first part where they are separate from you. They're like out in the world. Here you are. Try out your body. See if it fits. See if it works. See if it's fit. Not see if it fits. See if it fits into the environment. If it is fit. If it is fit, then it will sit and continue to sit and be in it. A lot of words rhyme with it. And it would make sense in a poem. So anyway, if the body is fit, it'll keep going, then it should have the experience of being here. So there we go. That's my proclamation to the world that we should let the bodies who are fit be here. And the bodies that are not fit, also, it's okay that they're not fit. They're still people. We love them, of course. I don't know if we should desperately try to cling so hard to life where we need to treat every ailment, because sometimes letting go is just what it is. I haven't had to do it. I've seen people do it, and one of the most profound ones was somebody accepting that sometimes there's no getting out of it. Sometimes it's just time to go. So we're in the pre-existence, we come to the living room, the earth life. Along the way, anyway, on the earth life, because the parents, their timelines don't always match up. Because they're God. The timelines don't need to match up. It's God. It can do anything it wants. So the parents are like, we're going to go for now. You guys be here. Don't muck it up. We saw you a lot in the nursery. We're going to see you again after. You have to do this one alone. You have to do this alone. It's your time to do it alone. Jesus will help you. He's your older brother. He'll get you through safely to the other side. Don't worry. Jesus is like, all right, do these things. I'll be back. I need to go for a minute. I need to go hang out with some friends. I'll be right back. I'm going to give you some ideas, do this stuff, and there'll be no problems. When I get back, if you've made a mistake or two, like, I'll be able to fix it. I'll fix it up and it'll be fine. So he leaves, and then we really start mucking up the place. I think Jesus would like to come back and see that we made at least some effort to not, like, ruin the house. I mean, we could not make every animal go extinct and stuff, and not, like, use so much plastic. Like, the plastic is legitimately, like, making the world worse. If we could just not use so much, maybe be a little more wise with it. It's making it worse for everyone. There's a lot of stuff like that. Like, we could just be a little bit better, a little bit wiser stewards. We believe we're like stewards. It's kind of like God's left the garden for a little bit. Now we're supposed to, like, take care of it. But we're not doing that good of a job. Like, killing all the stuff. He's gonna come back to this, like, desert wasteland, and we're like, what did you do? It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know what we were doing. We tried that stuff in the time of Noah. We try to do genetic modification and stuff. It's like, listen, I made it good. I set it all in order. Now you stop this. Stop trying to mess around with the order. Jeez, I made it how it was. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. It was good as it was. Stop messing around. Anyway, I think a lot of people think Jesus is coming back. He'll save it all. He'll fix it all. And he will, but he's not coming back as a lamb. He's coming back in with like a lion with a sword. He's coming back in with a sword, like a sword wielding lion. No, he's coming back in just with a sword. He's coming back in not with vengeance, but with sternness, with matter of fact sternness. Like, you all are not doing the correct thing, like I told you. This was an easy thing. Like, love each other. Your neighbors, your enemies, whoever it is, love them. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't care who it is. Don't even talk to me about this. Don't even tell me your dumb sob story and stop talking. Stop talking. You're just making it worse. Just stop talking. Now listen. Just love each other. All of you, just love each other. You're all decent people. Just love each other. You all came from the same nursery. Stop this. Just love each other. Stop going after the money so much. And so church stuff, like, if you're going after the money, you can't do that. You got to go after Jesus and God only. Like, you can't be going after the money. What will we do with our lives then? How will we eat? How will we sleep? Look, doesn't God take care of the sparrows and da-da-da-da-da? You're the leaders of the church. Doesn't God take care of you? Oh, he doesn't. Oh, ye of little faith. How are you leading a church with no faith? Well, that's what's going on. It takes a rocket scientist to know that, but apparently it takes one on your board meeting to tell you how to fix your broken stocks. Like, that's not what you should be focusing on. You're spiraling out of control. Just give all your money to me, and then I will take care of it for you. See how it works? You can't focus on that. You can't have that. That's what happened to Judas too. What is it about that? Like, humans and resources. Human resources. The resource that a human is, buying and trading in humans. What do you mean human resources? A resource? Just a resource. Yeah. So you're in there doing the wrong thing or whatever in the living room. Mother will come back and help you fix it. You know, sometimes the women in your life can channel the inner mother deity and be like, okay, you really messed it up, didn't you? You just need to repent. You need to do some stuff. You need to get right with God. You need to step down and step back and say, we've really done some stuff here that we regret. We shouldn't have been doing that. We shouldn't have been wasting our time on that. Why were we trying to do God's plan? That would have been way better use of time. We're not going to try to keep wasting everybody else's time, though. That's for sure. We're going to do better. We're going to step it up. Think celestial. How do you think celestial? Like, what is the requirements of the celestial kingdom? I feel like in reality, it's not the branching stuff. Go to church, go to do your callings, go for the deep teaching. I feel like the official stance on it is being sealed in the temple, I think. But yeah. So you gotta beware of gurus, man. Once they start getting into the money thing, that's when it starts to get weird. Any of this stuff, money, lust, power, just all the power stuff. Just like, ugh.
power is such an easy one to lust after. For some reason, everyone lusts after power. It's so addictive and like feels good. It feels good because you know that the resources are guaranteed then. The human resources are whatever resources you need, you can have any pleasure in life. Like to get as many pleasures as you can. It's just like, yes, the body, the natural man, like seeking after the pleasures is the natural man. And it's natural to do. It's normal to do. It may not be healthy or like morally correct to do, but it is not like you're an abnormal person like inventing sin. Heard that somewhere. Someone had said that every young man thinks he invented sin, and it's like, that's true. Maybe every person thinks they invented sin when they do something like, oh, I'm the only one who's ever done this. Nope, you're not. So, the natural man, putting off the natural man for something better. Self-control. It does make sense. It does make a lot of sense. That is poached. Self-control, natural man, moving up levels of heaven. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not the first to come up with it. I probably won't be the last, though, either. I didn't come up with it. I heard it somewhere originally. I came up with it. It had to, like, epiphanize and, like, solidify and crystallize in my mind. It had to make sense. But, like, I heard it somewhere before this. I'll probably hear it somewhere else again. Like, it may just be a natural truth. Like, it may not be an original idea. It may be that that's okay. It's good to know that you're on the path of some kind of truth. And it's good to help people see that facet of truth if they want to know. But when we have truth, not to be prideful or stingy with it, or like using it as a way to get things for the natural man. You're using your like guruship to get things for the natural man. It's like, stop. I mean, the fancy curtains and the super expensive flooring, like, that's natural man territory. I mean, if you're living above the lowest member of society, I'm thinking you're acting immorally. If you're living above the lowest member of society, you're acting immorally. I heard that in a philosophy class when I was doing college, like 19, 18 maybe 17. I might have taken philosophy my first semester. I would have been 17. And I think that was. And it was one of the ideas I really liked. One of the Greek philosophers, I believe he lived with the dogs out in the back outskirts of society. He says if you live higher than the lowest member of society, then you're acting immorally. Or something like that. And I liked that idea a lot. That was really great. Also the ring thing, if you're like doing things only because people are watching or because somebody's watching, anybody, God included, if the only reason you're acting morally is because you think somebody's watching, then you're probably not making a moral act. It's not building your self-control. You're just being supervised and monitored and pretty much forced. Satan's plan, right? Force and control. God's plan is free agency. And wickedness never was happiness. Remember that. We always believe in that. We always talk about that. That is true. If people are unhappy, it's because it's not a righteous act. The righteousness is lacking. Somehow. I think that's true. I don't know how it's true in some cases. Some cases don't look like that. Some cases look like righteousness is all the way there, and yet unhappiness persists. Maybe it's a Job situation where everyone's around going like, you must have done something wrong to have all this befall you. And he's like, I didn't. And God's like, he didn't, but they all think he did. That's part of his punishment. Well, that's part of his experience, is being so lonely, for whatever reason. But he was rewarded with it later. I think that's how it is for all of us. In that story, I used to think really poorly that the wives and children are thought of as collateral. But I think it's just like showing the individual lives. Like the wives and children had their own things in their own ways as well. But this is the way Job had it, his way. And that's where he was experiencing having more wife and children. That was good for him. The wives and children likely had their own experiences where things were good and bad for them. And it was just their time to die. That's all. and into the next place, into the next room, ushered in. And if they were, I mean, not accountable for their actions, they were too little, go right to Celestial Kingdom. But I think that doctrine, I mean, people do some gross stuff with that doctrine, just thinking, I mean, if we're here and experiencing, we do need to keep experiencing. God has a plan for us. We need to trust God's plan more than our plan. If we believe that stuff, if we believe that that's actually true, then we also believe that we trust God's plan. And we don't take matters into our own hands to try to force people into heaven. Or force a control issue. They will be fine. You might not be. Would that be an entirely selfless act? I don't think so. They don't get to be with you. It's sad heaven when you don't get to be with your family. I don't know what that means though. I think it won't be so sad. If it's the true way heaven is structured, I think we'll understand. And there's probably likely some visiting happening or something, and people, that's just what they wanted, People chose that knowingly. They chose where they want to be. And they can move up. We can do temple work for them as soon as they want to. They can move up.